revolution will be live.
Oh, what is going on, YouTube family? The man, the myth, the ZXpredator coming at you with a different, very different type of video. You're going to be seeing stock footage in the background. I had to compile my thoughts and take notes because we are in a crisis to the likes that when I was a kid in grade school, I would read about in the history books. You know, during history, when I was at Catholic school growing up, you know, hey, it wasn't my choice. We'll just leave it at that. But I'm very hurt by what's going on. Disappointed by what has come upon our country. Now, many of you know I am a proud U.S. soldier. Been going strong for more than a decade and a half. I wear the color green proudly. And there are times I'm like, you know, I get fed up and so on and so forth, like a disgruntled employee, but I love what it means to be a soldier, what that represents. And in that, you know, the sacrifices we make as soldiers for folks to have the freedoms that we have in this country. Now, those who know my origin, I am not American born. English is not my first language. Okay? And I grew up in the United States. My parents busted their behinds to get me from the Caribbean to the United States, and their mission was to get me the best opportunities that life can offer in this country. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and the sacrifice that my parents made, leaving, you know, everything behind back home, you know, I mean, I think in many cases we could have been all right back home in Haiti. I know that also too they sought the American dream. And America, from the outside perspective, from where I come from, is like you could do anything, be anything, the land of opportunity. And it pains me to see what has been going on in recent weeks. And, you know, when I ride, I think a lot. I reflect, and, you know, I listen to my music and so on and so forth. And, you know, a lot of things are going on in the Predator's brain, you know, ZXP. And, you know, I gave that little intro to put context into what I'm going to talk about. And it's just, you know, in this one, I'm not really worried about time. You know, I just want to make sure that I get the message across. In perspective, you know, we have people with opposing views, opposing ideals, ways of life, culture, practices, you name it. But I know in the biking world, the coolest thing is you can be of any race, creed, religion, culture, and there's nothing but peace. There are people that I know I have vehement disagreement in viewpoints, but I can still, how can I say, because I want to make sure I drive the message home. There can be a healthy agreement to disagree. Again, there can be a healthy agreement to disagree. You know, I grew up Catholic, But as I became a man and grew up, I said, there's some things that I felt were a little too rigid in terms of how practices were to go. So I ventured out, tried to seek different things in terms of ways to practice without feeling condemned. And again, I'm being very careful in how I express my viewpoints. And it's not to say anything about the Catholic Church or Baptist Church or anything like that, but there was a clash of ideals that caused me to, venture and, to try to seek different things or be non-denominational. And you would have some people who would be like, "Hey, Alex, what, you're wrong for that," or they'll try to condemn me or say I'm, not gonna, make it through St. Peter's Gate, when my time comes, that kind of stuff. And that concerns me because right now, the clash of ideals is really becoming an issue and becoming the very fabric of why we are in the situation we are in. We are already facing a pandemic, and for those of you who don't know, I almost lost my father to COVID-19. And from an emotional standpoint, I feel that there should have been better safeguards and precautions, actions taken sooner to prevent this thing from almost making it might sound selfish, but me as a person who was directly affected by the inability to be proactive on getting COVID contained, that has me feeling some kind of way. I almost lost my dad. He spent 16 days in the hospital fighting for his life, struggling to breathe, losing 20 pounds. In the process, he's 75 years old. And I'm making this real, like I'm personalizing this. I had my opinions on how COVID was handled. And with that, I kept it to myself because, you don't want to, ripple the waters. I'm a peace-loving person. And some people that I ride with have different views on different things in terms of politics or just things in general. But the one thing, like I said, the agreement to disagree is a wonderful thing because we don't step on each other's toes, whether it's whoever you voted for or so on and so forth. There's tolerance. But going further and going deep, when you're looking at, like, I dare not bring certain things up now because it's so raw right now, but I'm using my platform since it can reach a wide spectrum of people. That, the thing with George Floyd, that me being able to identify with the man being a black man, whether I'm mixed with whatever, I am a black man. And I'll share a story with you. There was one night I was coming home from work, and if you see my Instagram, my personal one, I go to work with a tie, dress shirt, I'm on point. You know what I mean? And my appearance, should kind of say, hey, I'm getting pulled over. It seemed like a young rookie cop who probably was a little bit nervous. And me, as an observer, if I try to put myself in the cop's, point of view, and try to think what might have been going on through his head. And he saw me. Look, hey, I had my work ID around my neck. I had my tie on and everything. I was like coming back from a day at the office. And I'm getting pulled over. And, obviously I didn't know why I was getting pulled over. So I just, I complied. And that's something very important. I know that people are angry, but if you're dealing with police, don't provoke or inflame or gaslight the situation. You know, just go with the flow if you're not in imminent danger. Okay? The officer in question asked me for license and registration at the stop. As I had one hand on the steering wheel, my left hand, and I told him I am going to reach for my wallet in the upper compartment where I keep my registration and insurance. He nodded, I nodded. As I'm going to do that, his nerves must have been really tense, because when he put his hand on his firearm, I don't think people understand what that feels like, where somebody is that afraid of you, afraid of the situation or whatever, that they pull they're going for their firearm. And man, I said to myself, this could be a bad day. This could be a bad day. This could be that day. I've experienced this a couple of times, but this one really shook me, because I said, man, what would I would just be another story. That scared the holy hell out of me. I was mad after that situation. I felt powerless. I felt like, man. Now, I don't know what the cop's prior experience was, or dealing with someone else that might have been creating an issue, so he's probably wound up tight. Okay? And we know there are some people who put the cops in a situation where they have no choice but to use that kind of force. My advice to you all is, do not give police a reason. Do you hear me? Do not give the police a reason. I am from the Elmira family. I have family on the force. Shout out to my cousin of Baltimore PD, Elmira, my family. And I can only imagine, I would hate for somebody who was acting out of sorts, who is in the wrong, to give my cousin a problem. And then he's doing his job, and now he's hemmed up. I love my cousin, the son of my dead uncle. This situation with police, race issues, we have to do better. We have to find a way to fix this. Back to the situation with the cop that had pulled me over. Yeah, I got out of that by the grace of God, because in the military, I am a MRT specialist, Master Resiliency Trainer. And there's a thing called activating events, or the ATC model. The activating event, the A, the situation that triggers you. And the T, the ATC model, your thoughts. In the thought section is where you have the greatest control, so that by the time you hit to C in the ATC model, your conclusion will be generated by your thoughts. in which you have the greatest control. Now, I've seen a lot of people. I saw some viral videos that are floating around where you have people who are handling the situation with George Floyd in various ways. Now, folks must remember, we can't give them any reason. Now, in the situation with George Floyd, the man was already restrained. There was no need to put your knee in his neck like that. That was extremely irresponsible, reckless, and similar to the situation that happened in Staten Island, using the illegal chokehold and killing that man. So, I will not demonize the police because I have family who are police officers. My martial arts sensei in Kempo Jiu-Jitsu that I trained under for 5 years were Officer Thomas Hargrove. Respect to my teacher. He was one of the finest officers and still serving right now. That I know not all police are bad. There are bad seeds everywhere. There are bad riders everywhere. There are bad soldiers here and there. You know, I think the problem that we are facing and why people are mad is the fact that when somebody does something, I wish it was handled like military UCMJ. It's black or white. It's A and B. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or, you do something, you handle the consequence that comes with that response. People are upset with the delayed response to convict, or not even, we're not even at a trial yet, but to charge the officer. It should have been instant. It should have been instant. Because anybody who cares to listen to this video must understand that there is a problem. And to be dismissive to a underlying problem is also going to fuel the anger and frustration for the folks that are affected by it, who are in fear of it. I will not lie to you. Whenever I'm pulled over, I am nervous. Whether I am a soldier or not, I am nervous. Story number 2, and this was on a bike. When I had Zeus in the first year. And matter of fact, I'm going to be a little more specific on this one because I filed a complaint and it fell on deaf ears. Now, I'm coming back on Route 23 from Port Jervis, New Jersey. We went out to Hawks Nest on a group ride, and on the way back, everybody broke off, and they were, you go home at your own pace. Now, normally me, as a rider, I'm more reserved. So, I'll push it here and there, whatever. Again, I'm not free from error in terms of, hey, if I'm in the zone or if I have to filter, because my bike gets hot, okay? And I try not to idle. If I can kind of slip around something, we're talking about dead stop traffic, okay? I reiterate, dead stop traffic. And, if I go around a vehicle or whatever, I'm at a light, okay, Now, there was another bike out there. Now, some of you who watch my YouTube videos kind of know because I talked about this before. And now it's myself and another hypersport bike, big bike. So, because of the color of the bike, The other rider took off, wheelies, going through intersections of red lights or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't keep up with this guy. You know what I mean? And now, all of a sudden, I see, I believe, was it Franklin Township? I forget where that was, but I know that I got pulled. I stopped. I'm on a motorcycle, a ZX14R. I could have ran if I wanted to, but I have too much to lose. Number one. Number two, it would have contradicted my original statement in terms of complying. Okay, I see the police spin up his lights. I pulled over. So now I'm like, oh crap. And now my 360 fly camera died on me. Right, like at the time that this was going on. So I'm sitting there like, all right, I just I hope it's not bad. I hope it's not bad. Now, I know I wasn't doing anything. I know I wasn't doing anything, or if something was unbeknownst to me, I will take that. So now I'm pulled over and I'm nervous. I'm on a bike. But what saved me was the fact that I am a soldier. I had my OCP pants, the ones that I should have DX'd, but they're great motorcycle pants. You can put padding in them on the versions that I had from Afghanistan, so that I can put knee pads or whatever. So now I cut off the bike. They're on the bullhorn telling me cut off the bike and take my helmet off. And 3 squad cars pull up on me. Now, here's my thing. It's one guy on a motorcycle, and you have 6 police officers rolling up on me. Now I'm scared. I am by myself. And I have 3 squad cars, 2 per, jumping out of the vehicle, and walking their way over to me. Now, in my mind, I said, what I'm going to do is remain calm and leave my phone in such a way where I can just hit, dial, and then whoever hears it, hears it. If something were to happen to me. This is a reality that some folks do not understand. I'm giving you a glimpse or just a little bit because I'm trying to not go on tangents or whatever. I'm trying to stay focused because some people don't understand this is a demographic of people dealing with an issue that has not been addressed, or they know the issue is there and they're unwilling to do anything about it. Thus, going back to my other point, where you see the cops that did wrong and you're unwilling to act and charge them. So, going back to the situation, I'm pulled over. I got all these police officers around me. So whoever the one officer was, I forget his name, that gave that pretty much I owe him for my well-being, me being able to make this podcast for you. He was the only one with a level head. Him and the Asian cop. He looked like possibly he was mixed, either Caucasian and Hispanic or Italian or something. I don't know. But he was the one to diffuse the situation because there was a short little bastard that he said, I don't care if you're in the military, this and that. I did 4 years of active duty. I'm an infantry guy. And he's one of the types that, again, I don't want to get into my emotions, but he reminded me of a short Chris Mullen. Probably 5'5", 5'6", no taller than Tom Cruise. I can flat out tell you, was trying to get me to respond. The tone, he was yelling and all that, and I remained calm. I was using my ATC, my military model from MRT to keep myself calm. I identified that he was looking for the other rider. They were pissed off. Somebody made a call and said there was recklessness and all that going on. Now, I don't know. He was charged up. He probably had a bad day, or his wife didn't give him none before he went on shift. I don't know. That wasn't my problem. And to that officer that tried to put me in that situation, shame on you, because you, as a guardian of the people and a former brother in green, tried to put me in that situation. Shame on you. That is the issue we're having. Shame on you. And I'm almost tempted when this production is done to put it so that somehow, I hope you hear this. You made me fear that situation where I could possibly not come home. It took a good cop to put his hand on your chest to say, hey brother, this is going on in my town. I'll handle this. Thank you to that cop. My heart was racing. I was sweating. I had to take my helmet off and my jacket and sit in the grass because I was in fear. There is a problem, and there are some people who should not have a badge, because if you are succumbed to prejudices and angers and so on and so forth, how effective are you going to be when you are out there in a situation like where I was? I will never forget that day. I wish I had it on recording, because that would have been in the background for you to watch. There is a problem. There are bad apples on the force. And because of those bad apples, the good ones, like those that I served with, there's to Officer Carcamo, aka Laura, NYPD. If you get to hear this, please contact your sister. I keep you in prayer. Since this has gone down, haven't had contact, or her sister hasn't had contact with her. There's people I love and care for on the force. So I will not demonize them. But there are some bad actors that need to be reprimanded to restore faith in with the people. Because granted, there are some civilians who push cops to the brink and have them crack and force them to make mistakes. People who are out there, causing issues, gang issues and all that, and then you want to play the race card. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. There are so many different angles. It's so complex that it's a hard thing, and nobody will say that, oh, you know what, cops don't have a hard job. They probably have one of the most difficult jobs and are mainly underpaid. I respect the good cops. I respect the ones that go out and play, basketball with the kids on the court, or know your local teachers, or friends with people in the communities. That they're not seen, those cops aren't seen as monsters. But there are the few that dilute and distort what a police officer is. There are some police officers who are doing things to civilian people in this country that if a soldier overseas violating rules of engagement, Do you hear me? For my soldiers out there who understand what ROE is, if you violate and treat a detainee inhumanely, you're done. You're done. Because, example, you mistreat a detainee while on a military operation per se, and word spreads, and there's a mission and something's going on, and they're like, oh, this is how the Americans treat their detainees, they're gonna fight harder. Where you might have had them willing to surrender, but they're like, oh no, they're not gonna do that to me. And those trash dirtbag soldiers that did what they did with Abu Ghraib prison, ugh, you saw what happened to them, right? Some research for you guys to check out. Those soldiers were punished. Punished. That was it. The same should apply to police officers. I get it. There are some differences. But you have to reprimand the bad apples. People are losing faith in the system. If anything, folks need to, we have to fix this. We have to fix this. Peaceful protests, yes, 100%. I agree. MLK was for that. But the looting, the violence, I am not down for that. Not down for that. Now, to put it in perspective as well, there are some people who are like, oh, look at folks, looting and so on and so forth. Keep in mind that there are opportunists who are in the situation taking advantage amidst all the chaos. You have folks like, oh yeah, consider this too. We're in the middle of a pandemic and people are out of work, desperate. So, hey, they're riding the wave. They're riding the wave. This could not have come at a worse time. My God, I pray that you heal this country, because we are hurting right now. And just remember, at any time, there's not a black race, there's not a white race, it's the human race. We are one people, we all bleed red. If anything, I just want people to go back and watch Independence Day in the United States president in the movie, the speech he gave. I remember I was in the movie theater and the rounding applause he got for that. And I know it's just a movie and they're fighting aliens or whatnot, but that resonated so resoundingly to me, trying to lighten the mood. If aliens came down here trying to wipe out our existence, what would we do? Look at how we came together for September 11th. I was joining the military around that time, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be going to war. Oh my gosh. Why can't we come together like that? Why can't we unite and heal as people? It's one race, the human race. Let's love and embrace each other. We're more alike than we are different. And going back to my earlier point, I ride with people who have vastly different outlooks on life than me, and you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know it. Because what brings us together is the fact that we ride in such a small niche hobby that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We enjoy the ride. I am hurt to see what's going on. Remember why people are protesting. There is an issue that's being ill-addressed. What will happen when people feel like they're not being listened to, or people feeling like they're in the corner, or feeling like they're in danger? If you put a squirrel in a corner against a bigger predator, the fight or flight will kick in, and a squirrel can even take out a 180-pound human being. Instinctively, it'll go for the jugular. It'll become primal and feral. A cute little squirrel. Okay? Understand this. You have people feeling like they're backed into a corner and they're pushing back. Are we willing to let the country burn and tear itself apart instead of doing the right thing and charging those officers? Think about that. Think about that. Think of the greater good. We need common peace. Restore faith in the system. Okay? This is generally speaking. And our leadership must condemn poor behavior. That's as far as I can go with that. Many of you know, soldiers know why. We can't fuel and gaslight and demonize people. We have to heal and unite with people to foster change. The ones who are protesting, keep doing what you're doing peacefully. Be the change you want to see. For those of you bad actors out there who are making it very difficult for the good message to go unnoticed, shame on you. And I will label you as anarchist. We have a problem. I will give a big shout out to when I was at WLC right after PLDC over 12 years ago. No, longer than that. It was 2010 when I went to school in Wisconsin. And my SGL, Sergeant Joshua, I'll never forget what he said. As I was moving up in the military and I'm in my NCOES, he said, you know, there's things in this country, things in the military that are sick. You be the medicine. That stayed with me since 2010. I stopped complaining about a lot and I started trying to be the fix in any little way. This is a motorcycle vlogging channel, and I was so mad earlier. I had to say, how can I get a message across? And I said, let me use my platform to just say, we are one people. We can fix this. We can fix this. Please stop the violence. Please stop the looting. Please stop trying to say it's only one group of people looting when surveillance cameras and pictures are showing otherwise. Let's get to a place where we can peacefully disagree and still hold hands. Like Dr. Martin Luther King's dream speech. We can beat this. We can beat the divisiveness that's being put out there. We are in bad times. We are in bad times, but it doesn't have to be. My optimism is there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to get to that light together. This has been a message from the man, the myth, the ZXpredator. I am flawed myself. I am not a perfect man. But I do know that I am peace-loving and want the best for this country. I put my life on the line on multiple occasions overseas with the 2 units and the 3 battalions I fell under. It hurts for a soldier to know that they went out there for this, for people's ability for freedom of speech. And yes, freedom of speech is one thing, but you have to be responsible with that. Stan Lee said, with great power comes great responsibility. We are the greatest nation in the world. We're not looking at like it right now. We must do better. And on a final note, shout out to that man, that 31-year-old man that stopped the 45-year-old from doing something I'm pretty sure he was going to regret. And he pulled the 16-year-old aside and was telling him in 10 years he could possibly be in the same circumstance that we are in now. And hopefully in the 10 years, that kid finds a better way. There has to be a better way. Violence and hate are not the answer. Please, America, let us heal. Whoever you believe in, pray to that entity to heal us. ZXpredator signing off.